Topping today's news, a bizarre late-night incident resulting in the death of a landlord and a toddler in the Soldier Road area. Prime Minister Philip Davis urging the U.S. to reconsider its position on paying reparations related to climate change, and a leading teachers union expressing concerns over Cuban teachers not able to speak English. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. Police here in the capital investigating the death of an adult male and a male toddler, which occurred in the early hours this morning in the area of Soldier Road. While police say they are uncertain of the relationship between the man and the child, reports indicated that around 12:30 a.m., police were notified that two males were fighting in the area of Family Street off Soldier Road West. On arrival, officers discovered a nude male on the outside of an apartment complex who reported that his landlord attempted to kill him and a female tenant who was renting a separate room. As officers entered the apartment, the landlord locked himself into a bedroom before breaking a rear window and jumping from that window in an attempt to evade the police. He was subsequently arrested. Acting on information, officers conducted a search of the apartment and discovered the toddler unresponsive on a bed and called for medical assistance. After discovering the toddler, the landlord, who was still on the scene and in custody, became unresponsive as well. EMS examined the landlord and confirmed that he had no signs of life. The toddler was transported to hospital via EMS, where he was also pronounced dead. Active investigations continue into this bizarre incident. Prime Minister Philip Davis spent the past 2 days in the city of Chicago, USA, celebrating the Bahamas' 50th anniversary of independence with Bahamians there, while also engaging in some high-level talks. In his capacity as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell shared the following details about the Prime Minister's trip.
Well, the United States plays a very important on most issues that impact the global community. They are viewed as leaders in most aspects of issues impacting the global landscape. And so their role at COP is particularly important and significant for the advancement of the issues that impact small island developing states like ourselves. And so it's expected that they continue to lead, but lead in a way that is sensitive to our needs and that is responsive to our needs.
On Monday, the Prime Minister also participated in a roundtable conversation on climate change held at Loyola University, in addition to an interview on national radio focused on climate issues. Following recent comments by U.S. climate envoy John Kerry, Prime Minister Davis is calling on the United States to reconsider its position on climate issues.
The more alliances that are formed around the issues that are common to all of us, the better chances we have of succeeding in having what I call successful outcomes. I know the declaration that came out of the African Union's meeting and what they call their pre-COP meeting to enable them to go with one voice, not dissimilar to what we did last August when we called all the Caribbean leaders together and we went to COP with one voice and was able to make a difference in respect to the loss and damage debate. And so that is very useful. And when you look at that declaration, the issues and concerns are not dissimilar to ours. And we are having our Caribbean meeting at the end of this month in Grenada, where we will craft our declaration to enable us to come up with one voice. And I think we'll find that we are aligned in most of those subject matters.
In July, Congressman Kerry noted that the United States will not pay reparations to developing countries that have been or that have seen natural disasters cause much devastation, particularly those fueled by climate change. Meanwhile, at COP27, countries agreed to set a loss and damage fund to assist countries that have seen climate-related natural disasters. Back in June, Prime Minister Philip Davis and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris co-hosted a U.S. Caribbean leaders meeting which focused on addressing the existential threat of the climate crisis in Caribbean nations. Prime Minister noting that at the end of this month, Caribbean leaders will meet again before COP28.
The more alliances that are formed around the issues that are common to all of us, the better chances we have of succeeding in having what I call successful outcomes. I know the declaration that came out of the African Union's meeting and what they call their pre-COP meeting to enable them to go with one voice, not dissimilar to what we did last August when we called all the Caribbean leaders together and we went to COP with one voice and was able to make a difference in respect to the loss and damage debate. And so that is very useful. And when you look at that declaration, the issues and concerns are not dissimilar to ours. And we are having our Caribbean meeting at the end of this month in Grenada, where we'll craft our declaration to enable us to come up with one voice. And I think we'll find that we are aligned in most of those subject matters.
Meanwhile, COP28, or the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, is scheduled for Dubai, November 30th to December 12th. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson again speaking out over concerns that Cuban teachers hired by the Ministry of Education not being able to speak English. The Ministry of Education is assuring that the Cuban teachers are capable of speaking English. However, the union president rejects this, giving the ministry a deadline of Wednesday, tomorrow, to investigate and properly address the matter.
I take Jeff Lloyd, the former Minister of Education, comments with a grain of sand. Jeff Lloyd has all the answers now that he is not in the chair. He has no credibility to speak on any education issues because he had an opportunity to fix the problems and he squandered his opportunity. So, Mr. Lloyd, sit small. Your time has passed. Belinda Wilson, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers.
According to the Ministry of Education, the Cuban teachers were recruited as a result of a memorandum of understanding with Cuba made 20 years ago to help address deficits in specialized areas of teaching. Mrs. Wilson goes on to emphasize the importance of the Cuban teachers being able to speak English.
So I've written to the Ministry of Education again. I've given them until Wednesday to complete their investigation and to decide what it is that they're going to do about the Cuban teachers who are unable to speak English, because what happens is it negatively impacts our students and their learning process. And if you would recall, several years back, there were some Cuban teachers who had to be sent back to Cuba because of the same issue. They could not speak English, so the children could not understand them, the teachers could not understand them, and they could not understand the Bahamian.
Now, in response to former Minister of Education in the Minnis administration, Mr. Jeffrey Lloyd, who appeared on a number of media platforms speaking on education in the country, the union president says Mr. Lloyd has no leg to stand on with regards to issues of education in the country. Her reasoning is that Mr. Lloyd had an opportunity to address the issues during his tenure as the minister responsible for education, yet the issues still remain.
So if they are here to complement our educational system, then definitely English, the speaking of English, must be the first basic tenet of their employment. So I await until Wednesday for the Ministry of Education to respond to me on the investigation that they have asked them to conduct. And I must also say that I do have names of the teachers and the schools and the subjects that they are here to teach. So I don't want to go public with that information. So I impress upon the Ministry of Education to ensure that they complete the investigation and they give a response to the Bahamas Union of Teachers. We are here to ensure that our children get the best.
As it relates to the issue at hand with the Cuban teachers, Mr. Lloyd proclaims the Bahamas went to recruit in Cuba too late, as other Caribbean nations have already recruited many teachers from Cuba. The Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation is headed to Atlanta, Georgia on Wednesday. That's tomorrow, September 13th. They'll be there until September 15th to showcase the Bahamas' vibrant culture, tourism offerings, and developments, as well as meet with key film and tourism industry leaders and media outlets. The global missions will be led by Chester Cooper, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation. He'll be accompanied by Latia Duncombe, the ministry's Director General, with some other dignitaries with them as well. The Bringing the Bahamas to You global tour aims to heighten awareness of the Islands of the Bahamas brand, drive tourism business to the destination, and honor the Bahamas' long-standing on-screen legacy when it comes to movie productions. Minister Cooper said Atlanta is the ideal place to conclude the successful U.S. tour, noting that already stopover visitor numbers from Atlanta for the first half of 2023 saw a 34% increase over the same period of 2022. Residents of Georgia can book one of 2 weekly 2-hour flights to Nassau, in addition to Saturday service to Exuma on Delta Airlines. Beginning November 5th, Delta will increase service to Nassau and Exuma, as well as Abaco and Eleuthera, ahead of the holiday season. The Ministry of Tourism Global Missions will make its next stop in the United Kingdom. And finally, in this segment, in other crime news, 2 adult males are in police custody after they were found in possession of firearms and dangerous drugs. According to police reports, a collaborative operation led to the discovery of 4 illegal firearms and a large quantity of suspected marijuana. Police say shortly before 3 p.m. on Monday, officers acting on intelligence executed a search warrant on a suspect's residence on Mildred Avenue, that's off Carmichael Road, just east of Gladstone Road, which led to the discovery of the weapons and the drugs. Again, a 27-year-old and a 28-year-old male, both arrested in that incident. The weight of the drugs and the value of the dangerous drugs are unknown at this time. Investigations are ongoing. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.